name is Nelson Hernandez, and I'm honored to bring you International Master Vasik Rajlich, the author of Rybka, for the last 4 years, the strongest chess program in the world. I'm in the United States while Vaz is speaking to me from his adopted home in Warsaw, Poland, about 7,200 kilometers to my left here. And there he is. Thank you for granting us some time, Vaz. What a treat to finally encounter you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
I remember seeing you at a press conference for a match in Mexico against Zappa a couple of years ago. But apart from that, I don't think you have ever done a sit-down video interview. Is that right?
No, I can't think of one either. And in fact, I've done my best to try to erase that one from my memory bank. So.
You know, the concept behind my proposing this interview was that thousands of people have used Rybka, and many have interacted with you on your Rybka forum website, but relatively few have met you or had a chance to hear straight from you your thoughts on the computer chess hobby and chess programming in general. As you are the leading programmer in computer chess, it stands to reason that you probably have insights that very few people have. I hope to tease some of these ideas out of you over the course of this interview.
Okay, go ahead, fire away.
Let's get started then. In this first segment, it will be helpful to cover some biographical details and bring viewers who may not know the Rybka story up to speed on what you've accomplished over the past several years. About you, you were born in Cleveland to parents of Czech ancestry, and then it gets pretty complicated. Why don't you fill us in on that?
Yeah, it is pretty complicated, so I'll have to go pretty quickly. But I was born in Cleveland. My parents, both of them, my father and my mother, were studying at Case Western University. This was in 1971, and when I was 6 weeks old, my parents decided to return to the Czech Republic. They had actually gone to Case Western before the thaw of '68, and after the crackdown, it was quite a different country than I think they expected. So anyway, we moved back to Czech Republic. This was in 1971. We lived in Prague until, I don't know the exact year anymore, but let's say 1982 or something like this. And my dad was trying to escape for quite some time, which is of course illegal. And we finally managed to do it. We went out to Libya. My dad got a job in Libya teaching computer science. The reasoning being that it's easier to escape from Libya than it is from the Czech Republic, as they're not quite as well organized. And that's what we did. We went from Libya to Malta, which is a free country, and then we flew to the US. We lived for some time in California, then in Ann Arbor, Michigan. That's where my parents still live. My dad was teaching first at the University of Michigan. Now he's a professor at Wayne State. And so that's where I grew up. Then I went to school at MIT in Boston. This was 1989 to 1993, so normal stuff. And I also spent the summers in Texas. Then I went back. I worked in Detroit for a while, Ann Arbor again, and then I moved to Europe.
What kind of work did you do in the years after MIT? Were you a professional programmer?
Yes, so I had several jobs. My first job was at a startup called Triada, where we did some data compression. Actually, it was more than just data compression. We were supposedly trying to simulate the human brain, and that's quite an ambitious project. But eventually we found, we settled on data compression as the application for this. And that slowly kind of sank, that company slowly sank. So then my next job was to go work at Ford. I only worked at Ford for 6 months. I worked in what's called the Scientific Research Lab, which is about 800 scientists doing all kinds of basic research for, for the car company. Nothing with a specific application in mind, just general research. So I was there on a project where we were trying to fit the different car parts together. It's actually kind of funny, but inside the Ford engineering, you've got, let's say, a team that does the radiator, another team that does another part, and the teams pretty much never talk to each other. They're just working on their part, to the point that a lot of times the parts don't really fit properly, even physically sometimes, or in terms of specifications. So we were trying to kind of unify everything. I was there for 6 months. It was a little bit too bureaucratic for me. I had some funny stories. For example, I learned the hard way that I was not allowed to be in my office without shoes. And then my next job in the US was at IRM, which was basically a defense contractor. It stands for Environmental Research Institute of Michigan. But we were doing a very, very interesting project. It was called M-STAR. It was basically classifying radar images. That was the basic problem. And the best image classifiers are humans. Humans are better at this than computers, or at least they were 10 years ago. And the best computer algorithm was one guy, one MIT professor, who had the best algorithm. And he had just a very kind of quick and dirty thing. And we were trying to beat that with this huge system of like, I don't know, 100 full-time developers spread across 10 different contractors. It was really, really interesting. And it was really, really big. And like most big software projects, it wasn't especially efficient, but it was a very interesting project anyway. So that's what I did in the US. And that was until 1999. And then I moved to Europe and did some other things. I played chess for a while. Then I worked at a company doing wireless computing. I was developing Windows application, and then came Rybka. So.
And what prompted you to turn away from conventional work? Did you have an existential crisis along the way, or something like that?
Well, yeah, I guess it was a bunch of things. It's quite a long time ago now. I've almost forgotten really exactly why I did that, but maybe it was kind of crazy in some ways. But one of the things I like about Rybka, I guess it took me some time after I started to kind of think about these things. It took me some time to kind of hit on the right formula, which I feel like I hit on with Rybka. I guess the thing is, I like to work on things where I work by myself, and I don't have to explain to other people. I don't have to get permission to do things. I just have to do it my way, and then if I'm right, I win, and if I'm wrong, I lose. And chess is that way too. The problem with chess is it's hard to start when you're not young, and it's also you need a certain amount of talent for it, kind of a special gift. But that's one of the things I like about Rybka, is you're just on your own. You go and you do things whenever you want, you work when you want, you sleep when you want, and it's just your business as long as you win. And I like that, instead of having to go through these kind of extra procedures. I just really enjoy that, kind of being in control of everything.
Let's turn to chess. When did you start playing?
Well, I've been playing chess pretty much my whole life. I used to play with my dad on Sundays. That's kind of how I started. And then I started to play a little bit more one summer when I went to Dallas. I spent the summer working for Texas Instruments, and there was a really nice chess club there. So I was just there like 3 or 4 days a week, playing in various tournaments. And that's kind of how I really got into it. And then later, in something like 1995 or 1996, I got back into it. Just playing in tournaments, nothing really serious at that point. But then I slowly got more and more into that.
What drew you to computer chess and prompted you to program your own chess engine?
Well, actually, it's something that I've wanted to do for a long time. I mean, I remember I had a computer chess book that I was reading when I was in high school. And when I was in high school, I actually wrote a Connect 4 program that I spent quite some time on. It was, a similar type of activity. And so it's something I always wanted to do. And then finally, in 2003, it was the right time. I was finished with chess, and I felt like this would be a good time to do that.
2003, was that the year that you wrote your first line of Rybka code?
Yes. So in January or so of 2003, I finished playing chess, and I took a job in Germany, in Edelsried.